So, anyways, um I didn't do much today. I never do much actually. I always mean to do something more interesting than whatever it is I actually do. But I never actually do anything very interesting. Um, but we had basically today I was just on the computer after I went for a walk. But I didn't really do very much. I was supposed to be working on a story, but I only wrote like a page or two. Well, I read 6 pages of the story, and then I wrote another page. So I'm trying to write 100 pages, but I think it's only going to be like 10 to 15 pages. Like I have to put more exciting things than that in, but it's really hard to actually know what you're gonna write about and stuff, so I sort of gave up because I can't stop yawning. I think I've just been indoors too much and it's just really affecting me. But saying that, I'm always walking around. I'm never just sitting at a computer. But yeah, but for some reason it feels like, I don't know, I just didn't get into the story like I had hoped to, but I thought I had a 80-page story somewhere, but it ended up being like only 14 pages long, and I was like, where on earth did I get the 80 pages from? So it must have been like a typo or something, or a different story that's there somewhere, and I'm like, I was gonna use the additional story to publish it after I edited it, but obviously it's not going to happen if it's only 14 pages long as opposed to 80 pages. But I have I know, quite a few stories and scripts there. I could put all the scripts together, maybe that will get me a pretty good sized book, but I don't know. Most of it's my old work except for the spy story that I'm trying to get through. But I don't know if it's really working. Like, you have to write so much. I'm trying to write in a distinct tone. I'm trying to write something more earthy than my other stories. So it's like just talking to the reader as the audience, really, and puts them in the seat. But I don't know, it's all those stories that I wrote, especially the long ones, they took over a year to write, and I literally need to write a little bit every day sort of thing. Not all of them took a year to write. I wrote this script about a singer that the sequel, the first one took a year to write, but the second one took only 2 weeks to write, and then it took forever to edit it, and I never ever got it right. But I had to perfect it this year. I had to perfect it, and I did, and now it's published. So, but none of my stories are very popular, so I'm trying to get a more popular story out. And I've got heaps of time. But I just have to concentrate on it a little bit every day, and then eventually, after many months, you have a story there. Obviously, sometimes when I'm into a story, I can write more than, a page a day, but when I'm not really into it, even a paragraph is an improvement. I had this story that took forever for me to write because I just hated the tone and I wasn't into it, but I just kept working on it a tiny bit every day. Like, I literally wrote only a paragraph or two every day, and after a year, of working on it like that, I had a full-fledged story, which is actually kind of good. So, but I should write a more thought-provoking story, or I'm trying to write more stories where the reader is the listener and the narrator of the story is the speaker, and the speaker is talking almost directly to the listener. So, trying to write more stories like that as opposed to just writing a story. But I want to get into like weird plots and things. But I don't know. I wrote this really good story for another person, and I left it for them to publish. So I got published right away. So it's pretty interesting. But when you're on your own and doing your own stories, it's a different thing. You have to do all the breadth of the story. You're like going, oh, why on earth am I meaning myself to this? It takes like forever to develop a story. And if no one buys it, you have to think of a different kind of story to develop, and I don't know. I've been watching like Jim Carrey movies. And today it was affecting me a little bit mentally. He's a little bit old now, and I don't know, for some reason it sort of turns me off from watching his movies, but I watch them anyways. But today it was like I was having sort of a riot against watching his movies because he looks too old to look attractive, and you're like squinting. But I don't mind his movies. I have been watching the newer versions where he looks quite old, and I'm like, the movies are still okay. I watched 23 the other week, and that was an okay movie. They're all watchable. Then I watched The Majestic, which was an okay movie. I sort of liked the lawsuit near the end. I thought that was sort of interesting. I've seen it before, but I was looking at it with fresh eyes again. And tonight I watched The Yes Men, which is kind of okay. So so it was it's pretty interesting. Like, the movies are okay to watch, but before I started watching it, I was like, oh, the actor's too old, they shouldn't watch it, and stuff. And yeah. We're gonna have a shower. I'm just about dropping off. Tomorrow I have to go down to the post office. I've got to remember that because it's really important when I post the mail tomorrow. I've got to pick up bubble wrap because I ran out this time. Yeah.